everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree tree gnome. He's so freaking cute. He is a Walmart dupe. I saw him on Walmart for $20. And I was like, heck no, we're making him for less than $20. This is actually going to be less than $7. We're going to use 2 trees, not white ones, but I didn't have a picture of the green ones. And we're also going to use 1 or 2 twist ties. I actually had mine left over from a previous project. They were on those bells. But you could just use those, and that's an option. You're going to need a hat. This one is from Walmart, but Dollar Tree sells them. One I'm going to use is actually from Dollar Tree. And then these are the only thing that's from Walmart that you have to get at Walmart because they're the pair of boots. And then you're going to need a plush elf. This is just an option. We're going to need arms, and we're just going to steal them from the elf. And then you're going to need a mop. You're just going to use the cotton portion of the mop, so you can use the handle for other stuff. And we're only going to use a few strands, so you don't even need to buy like a whole mop if you have some pieces left over. Now, I am using this hat from the Dollar Tree. This is the one with the iron-on letters, but I'm obviously not ironing on the letters. I like this one best because not only is it closer to the inspiration, but it looks less like a Santa hat, if that makes any sense. It doesn't right now, but it will when we're done. The other one with the fur kind of really reminds me of a Santa hat. I feel like felt or whatever would be better for like a gnome hat. Now the sample had the hat tilted over, but you can do that either way. It's however you want to stage it. Because this one will flop over if you want it to, or for it to stand straight up if you want it to, which is another reason why I picked the felt one. So all I'm doing now is I'm taking the stitches out. This particular hat is stitched, basically the flap is stitched up, so I'm just turning it inside out, snipping some of the secure threads, and then going between the red and the white, and I'm just cutting the threads away. You want to do this very carefully because you don't want to cut the hat, but any little scissor or seam ripper will work. What I really like for these kinds of projects, for removing little threads that they do sell at the Dollar Tree, is sometimes like a cuticle scissor that they have in like the manicure pedicure area. Actually, the set that I got is actually from the register. It was sort of like that, register buy that they have over there. So once you have that all done, you just want to pull the flap down, and you want to cut away the red. You want to make a nice as straight as possible, not jagged. And it doesn't have to be like even left and right, but just a not jagged cut, I guess, basically. And then you don't have to keep the white part, but I do, because you never know when you're going to need some white felt. I know that sounds silly. My sisters were here, and they're like, I think you're starting to become a hoarder. But I'm like, well, if I don't use it, then I'll get rid of it. But there's so many times where I'll go into my goodie bag, and I'll just be like, wow, I could really use this wooden block to secure this corner and whatever, if you know what I mean. So just using the green garden shears and scissor, the green garden pair of scissors from the Dollar Tree. They work really good on fabric. If you can keep them just for fabric, that's even better. But what I'm just doing is cutting around, just making sure I don't get the seam. And again, you just want it to be as straight as possible. If you noticed, I pulled off the pom-pom, but then I also cut off the pom-pom. And we're going to use that for his nose, but we'll have another nose option depending on whether or not you're able to get the elf. But what I wanted to do is I'm turning it inside out just so I don't get green stuff all over it. You really could just move it off the table. This is just me being weird. You're going to take both the trees, and you're going to open up all their branches, just one at a time. Just take your time. You don't have to worry about fluffing it or zhuzhing it right now, because we just want to open them to make sure they're all open flat. And you should be able to see the pole going up clean in the middle. And if you notice the pole has sort of one side of, usually it has one side of the pole, at least partially, that is blank. Basically, all of the stuff is coming out of the other side of the pole. So what I want you to do then is to use that as, pretend it's like totally flat, and you want to push all of the branches away. So you're basically pushing and making 2 half trees that you're going to hug the 2 flat portions together, and you're going to make one whole big tree. Then you're going to take 2 of those twist ties. We're going to put one around the middle just to hold the trees. And then we're going to put the tree bottoms, like the part that would normally hold the stand, we're going to stick them in one in each foot of the boots. So let's see that really up close and a little slower. You basically want to take the two stands without of their little armatures, and you're going to put one in each boot. Now once you do this, you're going to take the other twist tie, squeeze the legs real close together, and that's what's going to keep it standing. You'll see there's no extra effort. It'll stand if we wrap it tight and keep it inside those boots. And that's all it takes. And then I just take the second garland tie and I go right around there. Now, if you don't have the garland ties, or if you don't want to invest in the garland ties, you could just use Chanel stems, pipe cleaners, ribbon, whatever you want, as long as you have those two portions tied together. Okay? Now, the next thing I'm doing is I'm just trying on the hat. This doesn't have the beard on it yet. What I want to do is I want to see how long I need to make my beard, or if I need to cut my hat down. Now, this is a matter of personal preference, plus, depending on which hat you actually use, this is something you want to do ahead of time. Now, the sample, he had a whole face. I'm not really crazy about a gnome with a whole face anyway. Maybe it's supposed to be an elf. I don't know. It looks like it's supposed to be a gnome. But I don't really care for a whole face. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like we've been doing gnomes, just with the beard and the nose. So what I'm going to do is I've stuck one of my plastic cutting mats underneath, or inside the hat really, with just a corner of it inside the hat, because I want to glue all of these strings, beard parts, to the hat. Now I was going to do it on the inside and just glue on, like basically turn it right side out and then glue along the way, which you could do. It's just that I was thinking about turning it right side out and how horrible it would be, but it ended up not being too bad. But I really kind of wanted to like use the least amount of yarn as possible, so I was trying to make like basically measure like the longest piece in the middle and then make it a little bit shorter to the left and right of that, and a little bit shorter to the left and right of that, and then actually ending the beard with the pieces that we had cut off from the middle of the beard, if that makes 100% sense. I feel like it does. So altogether, I feel like we only used about, I don't know, 8 to 10 beard strings, because we used both halves. We used the half that we cut off, plus we used the half in the middle. And actually, as a matter of fact, the very, very end pieces were actually cut even more. Like basically, we had half of it there, or a part of it there, part of it there, and then when we trimmed it, we actually had 2 little pieces left over that were kind of long, and we added to the very, very ends of the beard. But you can do whatever you want. If it's, I want to say if you have a disposable income, you're probably not watching this channel, but if you can afford to just put down as much beard as you want, you can. And obviously you can do this with faux fur. You could do this with the car cloth that we made. We gave our little stuffed gnome an actual car cloth beard, which worked out really nicely. So you could do that if you want to. Really, the possibilities are endless, really. But when I saw this, I knew exactly what I wanted to do for his little beard. So basically, you want to make sure that you get enough glue that you kind of grab all of the different threads that are in each piece of yarn. Otherwise, it's going to come out. But we will have some come out, and I will show you them in a little bit anyway. But that's where I just trimmed it, and I cut off those 2 little angular pieces, and I put them on both sides just to make the beard have a little bit more shape. But after we will trim it a little bit here, but then after we're done pulling apart the threads, then we're going to trim it even more. Now, while I was just straightening them out, I snagged one of basically a cut that I had on some of the threads that were actually glued down, but like I was mentioning before, you want to make sure you glue down all of the strands. I had a couple that didn't have their 3rd or 4th strand glued down, so I went ahead and I fixed that up. I also took a piece of scrap material. It was actually a ribbon left over from that same bell project, just to glue over the edge to hopefully hold the rest of the yarns in place. It didn't really work 100%. We still had a couple of loose people and then a couple that broke. But they're just very easily repaired. So all I'm doing is I'm showing you here is I'm untwisting. There are 5 strands. I feel like there's 5 strands, but maybe there's just 4. It might be just 4. But we're just going to untwist all of them. It'll give him a nice curly beard. Just kind of like when you used to put your wet hair in braids and pull it out, and then you have that nice wavy hair. It kind of seems a lot like that. My dad had a very curly gray beard when he passed, so it kind of reminds me of him a little bit. And he loved a red hat. His red hat was his signature. He had a red baseball hat in the summer and a red wool hat in the winter. So when he was out on the ocean, people would recognize him from where he, just from far away. If you've ever been in Reynolds Channel and you've seen a guy fishing in the middle of the wintertime with a red wool hat, it's probably my dad. So you just want to continue to do this to all the strands. Take your time. If you do pull one off or break it off, all I did was I added a little dot of hot glue and I glued it back to underneath the hat brim, which was fine. The ones in the middle actually broke off the most, which is kind of funny because we're going to end up covering them with the nose. But yeah. But you just want to do this. You want to be, like I said, you want to be gentle. You want to be careful. Now, as far as the height is concerned, like the original said 3 foot, this one is almost 3 foot tall when the hat stands straight up. But you could make it taller. Like basically our base goes right into the boots and you almost can't see the boots when it's being a tree. But the sample, basically, it looked like they had longer legs. So it looks like if you stuffed styrofoam or something down in the boots first and stuck the tree stands in there, then it would give him a little bit more leg, if that makes any sense. So if you want to make it look more like the sample, there is ways to do that as well. But this one, I think he's so adorable. I just don't even know. Yeah, I'm just crazy about him. But I will tell you, I will not take him apart, but he is take apartable, if that makes any sense. We're gluing his beard, his nose, and his arms to his hat. And his hat is not glued to the tree. His feet are stuffed in the boots, but they're not glued to the boots. So if you have storage issues where you want to be able to basically pull him apart and put him back together every year, you absolutely 100% can. You basically could put his whole beard in his hat with his boots. His arms will be glued to his hat. So it's really a convenient for storage as well. And then you can just put the trees right back in their boxes and then take it out again next year. Okay? So you can see here I'm just dolling it up. I'm just zhuzhing it up. I'm giving him a little trim. Making sure I have all of the pieces where I want them to be. Okay? And then fixing whatever little pieces get left over. So now I'm going to start putting the hat on. As you see, I threw the hair up over the hat so it wouldn't get tangled in all the branches. And then we're going to lay it down flat. Now my assistant comes in to help me be my photographer. You guys won't need an assistant to make this tree, just an assistant if you need a photographer. So what I'm just doing is taking a moment to straighten his hat out and also straighten his branches. So if you have branches that are sticking out of the hat, like where you can see that it's a branch coming out, you can go ahead and flatten that down. The branches are very forgiving. The tree is firm, the hat is firm, so it will stand up by itself, but you want to make sure that those 2 long branches are up there. And now it's time to glue on the nose. You just glue the nose right onto the hat/beard, right where the hat meets the beard in the center. And I've just used the pom-pom. So if you want to make it look more like a fleshy nose, you could take some pink paint and just daub on the pom-pom to make it look like a rosy nose. But you could also use the elf that we pilfered the elf's arms. Basically, we cut off the elf's arms and we're gluing them to the underside of the hat on the left and the right. But if you really wanted a fleshy nose, you could take the elf's head. I know that sounds terrible. And you could use the fabric from the elf's head to wrap the nose or to make a nose. You basically could cut the elf's head off. You can turn his fabric inside out. And you could stuff him back to make a nose if you wanted a flesh-colored nose. But I really think that the white one is cute. And it does stand out different because the beard is sort of gray. This wool is not really quite bright white. And wool, yarn, cotton mop, you know what I'm saying, isn't really white. So the nose does differentiate from the beard. And there he is. His cute little boots. He's so adorable. And his little arms hanging out. Oh, I just love him so much. Oh, I can't get over it. If you guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. It was fun. It was quick. It was easy. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody who might be interested in cutting the price of this thing down tremendously. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!